Donald J. Trump is at it again. Threats of war against Nigeria. First, I want to give all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, Elder Bishop, the Great Millstone, who rule well. Peace and blessings to you fellow brothers pushing out this word. And truth and sincerity, Shabbat Chanak. Coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. Shalom, shalom, shalom to the elect. Now, this story has actually been developing over the last week or so. All right, with so-called, the mainstream media here in America bringing up the fact that there are, millions of Christians being unalived in Nigeria. Of course, it's to take off, the focus of, who, and the gin to the side of what's going on in that land. And the argument is pretty much, like a straw man argument and deflection. They're saying, well, you guys are talking about, Pala to the Stein. Why aren't you talking about all these so-called Christians that are being unalived in Nigeria? So they're trying to switch, the focus from off what's going on over there in that land. And now the focus is on Nigeria. Again, so this story has been developing over the last week or so. But now Trump basically came out with a statement of, how they're going to, go into Nigeria. They're going to send forces into Nigeria. Now, this sounds very familiar of what's going on in Venezuela. First, it was threats. Threats against the cartels for trafficking drugs and human smuggling. All right, and then they labeled the cartels as terrorist organizations. Now, they have battleships and military troops in the Caribbean, so-called already, sending missiles at particular boats that were supposedly coming up to the United States with drugs. And there is a rumor of, missile strikes within military targets within Venezuela. All right, before we go further, I want to get Matthew 24, because the Lord told us about the time that we're in. We keep bringing out the same scriptures because we're in that time. I'm gonna go red letter, and it speaks about wars and rumors of wars. So there was a rumor of war with Venezuela. All right, and now pretty much they're about to go to war with Venezuela, which are who? Who are the Venezuelans? Those are the tribes. Those are the Israelites, so-called Latinos. And then now all of a sudden, the target is on West Africa, Nigeria in particular. And that's where a large portion of the slaves from America that they went to, they came from the West Coast of Africa, Nigeria, and all that. But why is that? Why is he not waging war, with Ethiopia, South Africa, Egypt? Why is he not waging war with all these other, Nairobi, all these other African countries? Why is it Nigeria? Because that's where pretty much the majority of them Nigerians are Jakes. It could be 95%. Of those Nigerians are Jake. All right, which are the Israelites. All right. So he's going after you Israelites, even in other countries. Why is he not going after, these other nations? Now, this is all under the excuse of, Christians being destroyed. Like he gives a good goddamn about Christians when you're allowed to practice witchcraft. Here in Babylon the Great. But let me read this, because your president Donald J. Trump, he's at it again, right? He deems himself the president of peace in how he should have won the Nobel Peace Prize, but he came into office declaring nothing but wars. He has a emergency task force, a special task force of National Guard, 23,500, which is 500 National Guard, quick response team troops, 500 troops for every state. All right, that's going to be, that they're going to be able to, really come down upon you people, and they're trained in, civil unrest and crowd control, things like that sort. This is Matthew 24 and 6. And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. So now there's another rumor, and we'll go into the video. There's another rumor of more war. What's going on? I thought this was supposed to be the president of peace. I thought everything was supposed to be good. Okay, this has to be the cruel Lord. And why is he going against you so-called blacks and Hispanics? See, you're gonna learn that what we've been saying in the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai was true. It's true. Okay, and this damn devil, he has that perpetual hatred. Read Ezekiel the 35th chapter. He still has that hatred. Not only is he mounting troops, okay, here in America to come against the tribes, because what is the reason for sending those troops? It's to combat crime. Who is the face of crime? Are you so-called thugs? And he's allowed you to perpetuate that culture, and he's even funded it. And he's given these rappers and entertainers millions and millions of dollars to, continue that spirit of, thug and diva and bad bitch, and just so the snare can be laid in him and for him to come against you. All right, and he has a reason to. Okay, he actually has a reason to. You're out of control. All right, and we've been telling you that this is what is getting ready to happen. Another scripture that comes to mind. Let me hold that. All right, in the Apocrypha. All right, speaks about a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Okay. Bear with me. And I believe it's, yeah, that's it right there. But we'll start up a little bit. But let's go back. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. And we're getting introduced of how quick a famine can actually hit. All right, they're pulling back. All right, the aid that they once had, as well as they're pulling back from the aid from Nigeria. They give Nigeria so many millions of dollars, I think $1 billion a year, something like that, in humanitarian aid and particular medicines and stuff like that. And now they're pulling all aid from Nigeria. Okay, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrow. So I'm gonna play. I got two videos. I want to say they probably are the same. One on Fox and then one on DU. This is the one I watched. This is fair use. Okay, I'm not making any money off of it. This is for educational purposes only and commentary. Okay, I sped it up so Lord's will you can hear. Let me turn it up a little bit. It should be loud. But let's play some of this.
Donald Trump says he's asked the U.S. Defense Department to prepare for potential military action in Nigeria. The U.S. president says it's because Nigeria's government is failing to stop what he calls the persecution of Christians. In a social media post,
they don't care about Christians. That's just a buzzword. Okay.
Trump said the U.S. is immediately stopping all aid and assistance to Nigeria. He went on to say he was instructing the military to prepare for possible action. Nigeria has denied the allegations. Well, DW's Misha Komodowski has more on Trump's threat.
Well, President Trump has issued a message to the Nigerian authorities, and let me quote it in full. If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. End of quote. And now...
See that? Look. our cherished Christians, we're going to come in guns a-blazing. Okay? Guns a-blazing. So is America, are they going to wage war on Nigeria? Trump, he's sending out threats, and he's actually doing it. But he's only able to do it to these countries that don't have any defense. Now, the thing with Venezuela, you know, Russia is somewhat helping Venezuela, but we'll see how far they help Venezuela, because ultimately, all right, nobody's gonna help you, Jakes. Really, you know, like Russia, and you have President Maduro calling on Russia, China, and Iran. But we'll see how far that help goes. You know, I doubt they'll get any substantial help, because you're the Israelites. Okay? And if it was another country, they'll get help. All right, this is the time of Jacob's trouble. All right, and Esau, Edom, he's coming down. Why is he doing this? You have to ask yourself that. Well, it goes all the way back to the scriptures. Okay, but let's play more.
Let's break it down. President Trump didn't specify which Islamic terrorist he meant. Boko Haram is the most well-known and historically deadly Islamist group in Nigeria.
And at this point, they can name anybody a terrorist organization. Okay?
Part of a wider network of extremist movements. The main jihadist group in the region today is the Islamic State West Africa province, which both the United States and the United Nations classify as a foreign terrorist organization. The United States has never carried out a large-scale or formal combat deployment boots on the ground in Nigeria. U.S. involvement has been limited to, say, training, intelligence sharing, and counterterrorism support in coordination with the Nigerian government. So what led to Trump's warning here? The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom recently urged Washington to label Nigeria a country of particular concern in 2025 due to ongoing persecution of both Christians and Muslims. A bill was also introduced in the Senate to sanction Nigerian officials accused of enabling violence against Christians specifically. Notably, President Trump post refers to our cherished Christians, even though the United States is not officially a Christian nation.
The United States is not even a Christian nation. So what is that about? Those are just buzzwords. All right, that's the excuse to go in there. Okay?
Religious conflict is complex. Both Christians and Muslims suffer violence, though the dynamics.
And you see how they're using that Christianity buzzword to wage war. They've never went around and pushed Christianity for the betterment and the empowerment of the earth. They went around and pushed Christianity, okay, under disguise. They pushed Christianity. That was the forefront, but disguise it was a war. Let me get a precept. Cause how did the Edomite, the so-called white man, how did he get this land? How did he get any of these lands? He took it by force. Psalms, I believe it's 55. He took it by force. How many people suffered and died and were raped and were tortured and put in slavery under the banner of Christianity? Okay, how many people died under Christianity when Esau came over here with white Jesus? Okay, this is Psalms 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Yeah, you would. Yeah, he's helping the Christian nation. Wow, you know they're being slaughtered over there, and you know President Trump is stepping up, and he's going to take out the Islamists, you know, Islamic terrorists. Yeah, this is going to help us. But the whole time, the goddamn snare, right? It was smoother than butter, right? But war was in his heart. Yeah, war is in his heart. He wants to take over all resources, even Africa, okay, Palestine, everything. He wants the world. He's losing a hegemony on the earth. The only option he has is to what? Is to wage war, especially on the tribes, the most vulnerable. All right, and Nigeria as well as Venezuela are very two rich, okay, nations in resources, but they are not allowed to build the infrastructure. They are not given opportunity. They're suppressed. If it was on a even playing field, we even coming out of slavery, even us in a low state, we will be above Esau and the other nations. But they make sure that we are at the bottom, which is okay. That's okay, because you are getting ready to be on the bottom. Let me bring out another precept. Okay, Jeremiah. What is that precept? Is it? Let me see. Yeah, that's it. Jeremiah 30:16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries. And I'll say this too, because in Nigeria they worship the white Jesus. All right, and they're into all type of witchcraft and voodoo and all type of African mystic folklore and basically witchcraft. And you do got a brother out there too that you got GMS, if I'm not mistaken, GMS Nigeria, which ultimately the majority, the Lord's not dealing with the majority of them jakes out there. It could be a sprinkle of a couple of elect, but the Lord ain't dealing with them, and the Lord's going to allow Esau to roll on their ass. All right, but there is going to be a remnant, remember, from all the lands. Okay, all the lands. I believe that's Isaiah the 11th chapter. Okay, but in other scriptures as well. All right, so there's going to be remnants that the Lord is going to deal with and save, but for the most part, the Lord is going to allow your enemy to roll on your ass. And you're not going to get the protection like these other nations will get the protection, like these Arab nations will get protection. Okay? Like these actual Hamitic nations will get protection. You're going to be left out there. Okay? All your lovers, they're going to leave you. Okay? Because you didn't listen to the voice of the Lord. But ultimately, the Israelites win at the end, ultimately. Okay? Even the 2/3, he's going to win in the kingdom. All right? Even those that be destroyed on this side, they're going to wake up in the kingdom righteous. All right? Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured. So all our enemies that devour us, started with Esau, Edom, they're going to be devoured. And who's going to be the devouring? All right, the Israelites. We're going to devour our enemies. And all thy adversaries, every one of them. So there is no such thing as an Edomite that's going to make it in the kingdom that's going to be on equal footing with an Israelite. Or a Moabite that believes and is going to be partakers in the covenant. You must be out of your damn mind. Read it. I'll read it again. And all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. See? And these Christians don't want to read these prophetic scriptures. This has not happened yet. Okay? And why are we being devoured above all these other nations? Why is Trump now, why is he set his focus on Nigeria? Why is he sending troops to Nigeria? Why is he sending 23,500 special task force, emergency task force, okay, to all these cities? Huh? Why is he sending troops to Venezuela? Huh? What's going on? What the hell is happening? We are at the end. As we read, these are the beginning of sorrows. All right, he's cutting off aid here in America. He's cutting federal workers off. All right, the government shutdown is still ongoing. People are not being paid. You have major layoffs in multiple sectors here in Babylon the Great. Okay, AI is taking over, and they're hinting at what? A digital ID. Digital ID in the UK is going live in the first of the year, and they're protesting, but it's going to be to no avail. Okay. Because Esau, he's been given power to roll these things out. It says, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto thee. See, Yahweh Bashimah Shai is going to restore health unto us. Not, us begging to our enemies, begging to our oppressor, pleading. Because he ain't going to stop. He's not stopping. Okay? There is no the so-called Venezuelans, they're not coming against Esau. The so-called Nigerians, they're not coming against Esau. But he's at war with the tribes. It has not stopped. All the way going back from the beginning. Okay, Cain and Abel. Abel represented the Israelites. Cain represented the Edomites. But then also going into Jacob and Esau. Okay. When he said, when Isaac was about to pass, he said, when the days of mourning of my father be at hand, then when I slay my brother Jacob. So that perpetual hatred, I referenced Ezekiel 35th chapter, that perpetual hatred is still in the midst. It still burns in his heart. Okay? For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds. Yeah, because there's a grievous wound. The majority of our people do not consider themselves Israelites. Read Isaiah, the 1st chapter. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master crib, but my people does not know, my people does not consider. The whole head is sick, right? If I would not have left a small remnant, they will be likened unto Sodom and Gomorrah, basically destroyed. Okay, and you can see the current state of our people. They have no defense, because the very God that they so-called cry on, okay, let's deal with Jesus Christ, was a God that was given to you in captivity. Okay, that was the God that Esau used to subdue you Israelites, and now you're hooked on stupid. So how the hell you gonna call on that God, which that God was with Esau, to spoil you and oppress you? You gonna call on that same oppressive God, which is really no God. It's really Satan. Said the Lord, because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, who no man seeketh after. Yeah, ain't nobody give a shit about us. And you know what? I want to go to this video here. It's pretty much the same thing. But I don't know if a lot of these comments are AI, but really this is actually, was it Fox News? That's, come on, clearly the Esau hates you, Jake. Clearly this is the Edomite, the right, so-called conservative, which they're pretty much so-called racist, which the left and the right is racist. But you just read some of these comments. They're for Trump going in, and let's play a little bit, and then I'll read a couple of comments, and we're gonna hit a few more scriptures. Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to begin this morning with
and you can see the Vesica Pisces here, so you already know what time it is.
Fox News alert.
President Trump ordering.
Let me speed this up. And fair use again.
Pentagon to prepare for possible fast military action in Nigeria if the country fails to crack down on the mass killing of Christians.
Rebecca Castor joins us live from Washington, D.C. with those details. Rebecca, good morning.
Trump is not even a Christian. The American nation is not even a Christian. What the fuck is going on? This is just an excuse. They're using these buzzwords, all right, as excuses to wage war on the tribes, to wage war in general. And when you look at all the military actions that Trump is doing, domestic and foreign, who is it geared towards? Huh?
Good morning.
Rachel, good morning. Yeah, President Trump is not mincing words here. This is what he said on Truth Social yesterday. If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into the now disgraced country at guns a-blazing to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for...
Well, like they did in Afghanistan, they wiped out the terrorists. Supposedly the terrorists are still there. They're back in control. So what's really the reason?
Possible attack. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attack our cherished Christians.
You see that? The terrorist thugs. See that thug buzzword. You so-called blacks here in America, you are labeled as thugs. Okay, you so-called Hispanics here in America, you are labeled as thugs. And whether you're in Central South America, you're a thug, or whether you're in the West Coast of Africa, you're a thug. Why? Because you're an Israelite. That's how they look at you. Let's look at the word thug. Thug definition. Not thung. Thug. A cutthroat or ruffian, a hoodlum. That's how you look. That's how you looked at. Okay, a thug. This is the AI assist. A thug is a violent or lawless person, often associated with criminal activities such as assault or robbery. The term originally referred to members of a group of professional robbers and murderers in India during the British colonial period. Yeah, the thuggies. That same spirit is back. And Esau Edom, he has given you that as a culture. And he has perpetuated that within the video games, like Grand Theft Auto. You know, he's given that to you in your the so-called black TV shows, all your black TV, The Wire and Power and so on and so forth. They're all associated with being thugs. That's the culture. All your movies are associated with being a thug. All your entertainment is associated with being a thug. So they set you up as being, okay, the poster child for thugs. Okay, which is a lawless, violent criminal. Okay, that's how they look at you. And Esau, he changed it from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Why? Because we're in that time of war. He's coming for you, Jake. Let me bring out that precept we had in 2 Ezra 16. 2 Ezra 16 and 74. There shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Okay, and ultimately that's all Israelites, but also in particular the elect, because they're gonna come at us. That's the final boss is coming at the Israelites. Okay, that's who he's setting up to demonize. All right, but he's going after each. He does it in sections. He does it in increments. He's coming after all Jake. But I want to look at that word insurrection. Okay. Let's look at that word insurrection. Insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Because all Jakes have, okay, definition. All Jakes have fear of the Lord. It might just be, taught by the priests of men. An insurrection is a organized and usually violent act of revolt or rebellion against established government or authority by a group of its citizens. It often revolves resistance to civil authority and can lead to significant political change. That's usually what it means. Like, there's going to be a lot of insurrection here in America because of the different legislations and the hell that's coming. But here it says a rising in mass to oppose an enemy, and we are his enemy. Okay, so there's going to be a rising in mass. Who is he going to send? He's going to send his troops, his specially trained troops. All right, specially trained troops to come down upon the tribes. There's going to be an insurrection. You're going to be the enemy. Okay, you are going to be the enemy. What is that movie? Enemy of the state, right? Right. Watch this. Enemy of the state. And let's just see, right? Who's the face of enemy of the state? Look at that. Huh? Who is the face of the enemy of the state? Jake. You are the enemy of the state. They're coming for you. Okay? There's going to be an insurrection. A organized, okay, effort, okay, of trained, all right, military personnel that's going to come down upon you with the excuse of bringing order. You are a thug. All right, they've been foreshadowing this for the longest. Look, there's a book. Look, I'm pretty sure you got to watch this movie. Okay, you are the enemy of the state. They're coming for you, Jake. But again, 2/3 are not going to get it. 2/3 are set up to be destroyed. Okay, and those Venezuelans, the Lord going to destroy a lot of them. And them Nigerians, the Lord going to destroy a lot of them. And it's going to circle to all you Israelites, wherever the hell your ass is at, especially here in Babylon the Great. You already have the task force being set up, and some of you going to try to fight back, and you're going to be mowed down. Okay, but let me read that again. 2 Ezra 16 and 70. You are the enemy, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. Let me finish that definition. I looked it up here in the Edemon, right? It just means to rise up, a rising up. So this is happening. Okay, Surge against In meaning against, and surgere, to rise against. So that's all insurgents means, is to rise against. Okay, so there's going to be a rising against you Israelites, those that fear the Lord. Okay, you don't see a mass insurgents against the Chinese. What, you know why? The Chinese, they got nuclear missiles. Okay, even though they're coming against those Arabs, they don't really come at them Arabs like that. Or I should say them Iranians. Why? Because they got nuclear missiles, man. They have some type of military. What do you Nigerians have? What do you Venezuelans have? Hand-me-down, rinky-dink equipment. You're easy prey. Okay? And Esau is trying to get, he's trying to get that power back. Because everybody's bucking up against him. But the thing is, he wants to destroy you Israelites. See, you don't know that you're Israelites, but he knows. This is spiritual. This is a spiritual war, but it's manifesting physically. This spiritual war is gonna manifest physically. Okay, Esau, Edom, physically coming at the tribes, and this is what he's doing. There's an insurrection. Okay, there's an insurrection happening right now, rising up against you Israelites. Okay, it was Venezuela under the what? Under the excuse of drugs. Okay, which that's considered you being a thug. And now it's Nigeria under the excuse of murdering Christians, which America's not even a Christian nation, and Donald Trump is not even Christian.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth got the message and says the Department of War is preparing for action. The response comes.
They're not playing. See, you Jakes think Esau's playing. This dude right here, he's somebody in reincarnation. Okay. One of them top general, somebody heavy. I forget. Apostle told me it could have been somebody. Custard. One of them devils. Okay, coming back. All right, in that same spirit, they love war. They love it. You niggas think that you bend the block and you get on your ops and all that. Nah, they can amass a troop. They can amass troops. They cyber warfare, biological warfare, troop boots on the ground, missiles. They sieging you, starving your ass out. Disease. He is the sword. He's the sword.
As the persecution of Christians in Nigeria has reached crisis levels, Islamist militants have burned down churches and Christian schools. An international.
And who funded them? Who did? Why are they doing that? Why are they doing? Who's funding? If you want to go behind, all right, the scenes and find out what's going on, you're gonna always go back to one type of people. You know who I'm talking about.
Rights groups estimate
the ones
more
with the
than
big
50,000
noses.
Christians have been murdered in the country since 2009. But the president of Nigeria claims the reports of violence are misleading and says on X the characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality, nor does it take into consideration the consistent and sincere efforts of the government to safeguard freedom of religion and beliefs for all Nigerians. And our administration is committed to working with the United States government and international community to deepen understanding and cooperation of communities of all faiths.
So you see, the Nigerians like, hey, no, we're willing to work with you. They ain't stopping Esau from coming in.
Trump also recently redesignated Nigeria as a country of concern after former President Biden removed it from the list in 2021. Rachel, Charlie, and Griff, back to you.
All right, Rebecca, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca. Well, it's really hard to tell what's going on. We understand that they are Muslim rebels of sorts. There's all kinds of
They don't
countries.
they don't know what's going on. They've been given a script and to feed the American people. And look at the comments. I'm confused. Where's all the Free Palestine crowd on Nigeria and Sudan? See, that's the excuse. Yeah, all the people that are talking about free Palestine. Why aren't they talking about Nigeria and Sudan? And there's genocides going on right now. So you see how they're trying to, deflect the issues at hand. It's the devil. The devil is doing the same thing. It's the same fucking thing. Okay, send the heat. Look, send the heat. Esau, he's all about war. That's all he knows from the highest level Edomite, okay, to the lowest level Edomite. They're all about war. This is all that's in their mind. He said, send the heat. Guess what? The Lord's going to send the heat on your ass, man. The Lord's going to burn this place. Okay, he's going to burn. The Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, is going to burn Babylon the Great. He's going to burn all you Edomites here. All right, because that's all that's in your heart is war. You have no sympathy, all right, for anybody, especially when it comes to the Israelites. Finally, someone is talking about this. Again, I don't know if these are real people, which it could be real people or it could be AI. I don't fucking know, but you got people that actually think like this. They're drones. They're zombies. They're zombotic. Finally, somebody's talking about this, like, you know, there's been an outcry and why aren't nobody doing anything about these Christians that are being destroyed in Nigeria, like the so-called white man gives a fuck about Jake. Okay. Where the hell is the UN? Crickets. Defund the UN. Kick it out of the US. Because so-called the UN is not doing anything, but the UN is coming against, you know, is involved with the Palestine-Israel thing. This is a welcome move. 50,000 Christians killed since 2009. That's an average of 3,000 per year, or almost 10 per day, every day for 16 years. This slaughter must stop now. Disgusting. See, now, where was this story 10 years ago? Nobody's been talking about this. But Esau, he's able to roll shit out. Oh, shit. Give me a second. He's able to roll shit out whenever he wants. Whatever story he wants, he's ready to roll out. This person says good. And I believe I clicked. No, I clicked one of these people. They were a real person. It was a goddamn Ukrainian. But let me, what else did I have? Let's play a little bit more of this one.
Differ by region. The north is predominantly Muslim, while the south is largely Christian. Meanwhile, Amnesty International says Nigerian authorities have failed to protect citizens from daily armed attacks, leading to thousands and thousands of deaths and a growing humanitarian crisis in the north. Its investigation found that over 10,000 people have been killed in specifically armed attacks of all kinds, not just religion-based, across...
See that? Armed attacked. So they're taking all the numbers and they're saying that it was on Christians when it's not even the case. See how the devil gets down?
Several states since the current government took power.
Okay, so certainly a complicated issue there. But in terms of policy, how is this getting along with Donald Trump's self-image as a peacemaker?
Well, Trump's 2024 campaign promise, if we remember, was explicitly about avoiding new wars, saying he would stop wars, not start them. But in his post about Nigeria, he threatens to send U.S. forces guns a-blazing. That's important. And even orders the Department of War to prepare for possible action. How large will this action be? We don't know yet. But he describes a possible attack as fast, vicious, and sweet.
Yeah, so potentially some contradictions there. But nevertheless, Nigeria
is...
Now,
you can't brush over that. Potentially some contradictions there. It's a fucking contradiction or it's not a contradiction. Okay? That's what it is. It's a contradiction. All right. We'll end it. You know what I mean? Because these Edomites, they got to go. But before they go, Esau, he about to fucking have his last hoorah. Okay. Before the Edomite goes, Esau's not going out without a fight. All right. He's not going out without a fight. He's going out with a bang. All right. And he's going to try to take as many people with him. And he believes in his heart that he somehow, some way, he can succeed. All right, but see, when you come at, the Lord's going to allow you to be successful coming at these tribes, all right, to a point until you come at the elect. And even then, the Lord's going to, he's not going to destroy all his people. Remember, he's leaving a remnant. Job 20:4, knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Yeah. Oh, there's possibly some, what the bitch say? Salakia. Contradictions. It's not a possible. This is what he campaigned on. Which shows you stupid Americans. You stupid Americans go to the polls every 4 years and you do the same shit. You listen to these politicians that literally lie in your face. All right, and they do the exact opposite of what they said that they were going to do. And each year, your quality of your standard, your quality of living has diminished. Now we're at the point where he's getting ready to take every fucking thing. And you Edomites, you're clapping and parading, about, the welfare getting cut off. But the majority of people that receive, benefits are Edomites. And ultimately, these things are going to fall upon all you damn devils. Okay? Let me read that again. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Yeah, we just got to bear with this just for a little bit longer. That's all. It irks your spirit. It's irritating, but it's prophecy. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? Yeah, because there's going to come a point to where the Edomites going to be completely, all right, these people, they're going to be done away with, man. Okay? And it is all about, these Edomites, they're going to be done away with. Every last one of them. And it's all about, blaming Jake, the accuser. Everything that's going wrong in the world, right? They would make it seem like it's the so-called Black Hispanic Native American. They're the ones that's, messing things up. Well, meanwhile, he's funding nothing but wars. He's getting ready to take away more of your rights. He's stealing from you every time you get a paycheck. All right, he allows crime in your cities. He poisons your food system. He poisons your water. He restricts your movements. But he allows you to go to the club. He allows you to go to barbecues. But all that's getting ready to end. He allows you to be a sexual deviant. All right, and some of you to, make a couple of dollars. But now all that shit's getting ready to end. Okay? Trump was right about everything. That's what's on his hat. This dude's nothing but a devil. I'm going to close it there, A. Until next time, shalom to the elect.